Home design trends can look perfect the day they're installed, then make your whole house feel off faster than you'd expect. In this video, you'll see 12 home design trends that seem modern right now but age poorly and can cost you in updates, function, and resale appeal. From copy-paste finishes to flashy features that turn into daily annoyances, these are the choices homeowners regret most. Stick around for the last one. It's the trend everyone's suddenly reversing after living with it. Let's dive in. Coming in at number 12, waterfall kitchen islands that cascade stone from countertop to floor. The waterfall edge creates immediate visual drama. Countertop material flows seamlessly over the island sides, dropping straight down. I understand the visual appeal. However, it is practical too. The waterfall edges protect cabinet ends from damage and scuffs. With the combination of beauty and function, everyone installed waterfall edges in their kitchen, whether the space allowed or not. What was supposed to elevate kitchens instead became another checkbox on the trend list. But the saturation was half the problem. People began to notice practical problems. While waterfall edges protect cabinet ends from damage and scuffs, they also eliminate potential storage space. Those vertical panels could have been drawers or cabinets. The extra stone costs significantly more than standard construction. Fabrication complexity increases installation expenses. You're paying premium prices for reduced functionality. Then there's the maintenance headache. The waterfall edges you invested in requires constant attention to maintain that showroom appearance. Vertical surfaces show water spots and fingerprints more visibly than horizontal counters. Children's handprints form new unwanted design patterns. Grease splatters from cooking become obvious. Do you really need the waterfall edges? Sometimes a well-detailed cabinet end provides more value than another stone surface to clean. The goal is kitchens that function beautifully, not kitchens that simply look expensive. And speaking of expensive kitchen decisions that prove problematic, let's talk about the color that took over everything. Number 11. All gray finishes that turned entire homes into monochrome exhibitions. Gray promised sophistication and timelessness. It felt safer than white, more modern than beige, more neutral than any actual color. Gray cabinets, gray floors, gray walls, gray tile, gray grout, everything coordinated in various shades of the same non-color. The design cohesion made your home look professionally designed and your home looked great in photos. But looks can be deceiving. Gray feels cold in ways that warm woods and actual colors don't. Natural light interacts differently with gray, sometimes creating dingy casts rather than bright spaces. And it gets worse. That all gray makes your home feel lifeless. The promised timelessness was a false promise, because now gray has peaked and is outdated. And if you try to continue living with it, it means you have accepted a lifetime of cleaning. Gray floors show every speck of dust. Light gray grout requires constant cleaning. Dark gray cabinets reveal fingerprints and water spots. Do you always want to spend your spare time cleaning? You don't need to rip up the design, but moving forward means adding warmth back to your home. Think natural wood finishes. Brass and bronze introducing golden tones. Color on walls creating personality. Gray works, but it has to be one element among many. If this is making you reconsider recent renovations, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. From gray overkill, let's move to another kitchen decision that looked practical, but most homeowners I have talked to described as exhausting. Number 10. Open shelving that replaced functional upper cabinets. Open shelving is simply sexy. Display beautiful dishes instead of hiding them. Create visual lightness by removing heavy cabinet fronts. Absolutely stunning and elegant. Design magazines featured kitchens where perfectly curated items sat on floating shelves, creating art-like displays. But it's not just about the display. Closed cabinets can feel heavy. Open shelves provide easy access to frequently used items. So if this is so elegant and functional, why am I telling you to get rid? Excessive application. People removed entire runs of upper cabinets, replacing them with open shelves. Practical storage disappeared in favor of display space. The assumption was that everything shown would remain perpetually organized and beautiful. Then, reality happened very quickly. Dust accumulates on dishes constantly. Grease from cooking settles on everything. So you have to constantly clean dishes you aren't even using. Plus, the storage loss is frustrating. All those items that previously lived in upper cabinets now crowd lower cabinets and pantries. Finding space for less beautiful but necessary items like plastic containers, mismatched mugs, everyday plates becomes an ongoing challenge. You're constantly managing visibility rather than simply storing things. Don't even get me started on the styling pressure. Those shelves require deliberate curation to maintain their aesthetic. You're editing what can appear in your own kitchen based on whether it looks good enough to display just as you are working on prepping meals. How would you even enjoy cooking? Current renovations are bringing closed cabinets back. Closed storage handles actual kitchen realities better than exposed shelving. If you still want the open shelves, I'll suggest limiting them to small sections. The goal is functional kitchens that look good. Your kitchen should support cooking and living. It shouldn't be just for photo ops. And speaking of things that look better in photos than reality, let's move on to number 9. Generic mass-produced art that could be literally anywhere. The explosion of online home decor created endless options for affordable wall art. Print-on-demand services offer thousands of designs. Fast furniture retailers sell coordinated art sets. The accessibility democratized art ownership. Anyone could fill blank walls easily. The problem isn't affordable art itself. The problem is that bland sameness that makes all homes look identical. The same abstract prints appear in thousands of homes. The same motivational text, the same generic landscapes, the same oversized botanical prints. AI-generated art made this worse as people just spawn arts that AI generated for them because it fills space and matches the sofa. Again, don't get me wrong. There is nothing wrong or offensive with the art, but there's nothing memorable about it either. You could remove those art from your walls and you wouldn't even notice a difference. But remove an original artwork from local artists, photographs from actual travels, or pieces inherited or collected over time from your walls, and you'll feel that emptiness. Those artworks reflect you and your shared experiences. Generic artworks don't. You have to be deliberate about the investment you make on your walls. One meaningful piece outweighs 5 generic prints. Supporting actual artists creates connections. Family portraits displayed proudly tell stories. Empty walls feel better than walls filled with meaningless images. Your home should reflect your life, not an algorithm's guess about what people statistically prefer. Now let's move to the bedroom and examine a trend that prioritizes appearance over comfort. At number 8, low-profile floating platform beds that hover above floors. These beds create striking visual effects. Hidden legs make mattresses appear suspended. LED lighting underneath adds a futuristic look. The low profile and minimal frame feel modern, sleek, and sophisticated. These reasons are why they are so popular, and they are also why everyone who got this bed feels regret. Those beds have severe practical limitations. Getting in and out becomes more difficult, especially for anyone with mobility issues or back pain. The low height that looks so clean requires more effort for daily use. Morning routines and nighttime preparations take more physical effort than with standard height beds. Also, you get no storage space underneath the bed. Traditional bed frames provide valuable under-bed storage for seasonal items, extra linens, or storage bins. Floating beds eliminate this practical space. Everything that would store there needs new homes elsewhere. The LED lighting that seemed attractive becomes annoying. You can't have complete darkness without unplugging lights. The glow disrupts sleep for light-sensitive people. What worked as a showpiece creates issues for your rest. Then there's the cleaning challenges. The low profile makes reaching underneath difficult and dust accumulates in hard-to-access areas. What should have been a simple maintenance becomes more complicated than traditional frames. The good thing is you can still have the same aesthetic with better functionality. Slightly elevate your platform beds. You'll still have clean lines while improving accessibility. You can also have storage-integrated designs that provide drawers without sacrificing modern appearances. The goal is beds that look good and help you rest and not bedrooms for Instagram or Pinterest. Now let's move from bedrooms to windows with a trend that exploded through social media. Coming at number 7, cafe curtains that saturated every cottagecore-influenced space. Cafe curtains hang from window middles rather than tops, covering lower halves while leaving upper sections clear. The style copies European cafes and traditional country homes. During peak cottagecore trends, these curtains appeared everywhere: kitchens, bathrooms, laundry rooms, living rooms. And it makes sense too. Cafe curtains provided privacy without blocking light. They are a vintage style that became trendy, and this is what killed the appeal. Then people began to realize that cafe curtains only block views at sitting height. They also saw that their privacy wasn't actually guaranteed. Anyone standing sees clearly into spaces. Bathrooms and changing areas need more coverage than halfway curtains provide. Save yourself the hassle. Go full-length window curtains with diverse styles. Roman shades, simple panels, woven shades. Options that actually control light and privacy. Windows should serve the room's needs, not recreate someone else's Pinterest board. From failed trendy curtains, let's talk about number 6. Faux architectural details that stick on rather than build in. Peel and stick paneling makes your home have character. Faux brick veneer sheets add that industrial chickness. Plastic wall panels offered texture without construction. At least that should have been the case. But things aren't quite as they seem. Don't get me wrong, I don't think these designs are problematic. Where I think the problem is with the execution and expectation. Stick-on paneling looks exactly like what it is. Adhesive sheets creating illusions. Up close, the fakeness becomes obvious. Seams show, edges peel. The problem is even worse with faux brick. It doesn't have that depth, variation, and texture that real brick has. The thing is, these designs are meant to be temporary, placeholders for the real deal. So they get dated pretty fast, and removing them creates problems. The adhesives damage walls. Paint pulls off, The temporary solution ends up leading to permanent consequences. Real architectural details require actual investment. If budget or rental status prevents permanent changes, embrace what exists rather than applying fake versions. Temporary style works better through furniture, art, and textiles, things that don't pretend to be structural elements. Authenticity matters more than trend participation. And speaking of trends that seemed smart initially, let's talk about color division. Number 5. Two-toned kitchen islands that separated themselves from surrounding cabinets. Two-toned kitchens create visual interest by contrasting island color with perimeter cabinets. Navy islands against white cabinets. Black islands in all-white kitchens. The division provided focal points and broke up monotony. For several years, they seemed cool. Design experts wrote about them, and everyone hopped on the trend. They want to hop out because things have gotten obscenely predictable. Color choices followed the same patterns. Navy became the default island color. What should have been personal decisions became formulaic trend execution. What will truly elevate your home is cohesive color with variation through material and texture rather than dramatic color division. All wood kitchens with different wood tones. Single colors across cabinetry with interest created through hardware and backsplash choices. And again, we are back to the kitchen. Coming up at number 4, pendant lighting that became automatic rather than thoughtful. 3 pendant lights over kitchen islands became the default choice. The formula felt reliable. 1 island equals 3 identical pendants evenly spaced. But automation replaced consideration. Islands got pendants regardless of whether the space needed it or not. And because of this, they pretty much got outdated fast. But fixing this is quite easy. Pendants still work beautifully when chosen thoughtfully. Just vary and integrate different fixtures. Linear fixtures, mixed fixture types, 1 large statement fixture, unusual designs reflecting personal taste, heights and styles serving actual function, anything except the obvious 3 pendant setup. Kitchen lighting should illuminate effectively while adding personality. It shouldn't simply fill space overhead because that's what everyone does. Now, let me show you number 3. It is so fundamental to how your home feels. And yes, I am talking about sterile all-white spaces. White walls, white furniture, white textiles, white floors, white everything. The monochrome aesthetic promised clean minimalism and timeless elegance, and it makes your home boring and lifeless. This is why designers are abandoning it faster than they installed it. Plus, it is so exhausting to live in. White shows every mark, requires constant cleaning, and creates cold atmospheres. This design expects you to be perfect, but that's impossible, and chasing perfection daily becomes draining. Sure, your home looks great in pictures, but at what cost? Why not just ditch the sterile white and embrace color, pattern, warmth, and personality? Layered textiles, wood tones, actual hues on walls, spaces that show they're used and loved rather than maintained as showpieces. The shift isn't toward chaos, it's toward humanity. If you want white as part of your design, make it one element among many and see how your home feels full of life. And speaking of how spaces feel, this next trend will probably make you want to click away, but don't. Moving on to number 2, technology-heavy interiors that forgot humans need analog experiences. Smart everything seemed like progress. Automated lighting, voice-controlled systems, digital art displays, touchscreen appliances. The connected home promised convenience and modernity. But something got lost. Tactile, analog warmth. Physical books replaced by tablets. Vinyl and CDs eliminated for streaming. Analog clocks removed for digital displays. Tangible objects that provide sensory experience disappeared in favor of screens and sensors. Living in purely tech-forward spaces feels cold and disconnected. Human hands want physical objects to touch. Eyes need visual rest from screens. Ears benefit from mechanical sounds rather than electronic beeps. Bodies respond to materials like wood, fabric, stone, and paper. Trying reintroducing analog elements into your home. Display your physical books, record players, vinyl collections, mechanical clocks, and crafted objects. Strike a balance between digital convenience and tactile humanity. Technology should support living, not replace it. Smart features work best when invisible. And finally, the number 1 trend: oversized, bulky islands that dominate rather than serve. Massive islands became symbols of luxury and modern living. The bigger, the better. Islands that seated 6, 8, or more. Enormous expanses of counter space. Islands so large they required structural support modifications. These installations created immediate problems. Oversized islands block natural traffic flow. Walking around them becomes obstacle navigation. Open plans feel cramped despite large square footage. Counter space on opposite sides became unreachable. Multiple people working in the kitchen meant constant coordination. Cooking becomes a ballet routine. With a little bit of tweaking, kitchen islands can work. The island has to be proportional to kitchen dimensions. Flexible furniture replacing permanent structures. But why stick with a kitchen island? Peninsulas provide similar function with better flow. Some homes eliminate islands entirely for dining tables that serve multiple purposes. Sometimes the absence of something creates better function than its presence. If you're looking at your recently updated home recognizing several of these trends, don't panic. As you have seen, most are adjustable without complete renovation. You can remove some of the trend markers while keeping what genuinely works. Which trend surprised you most? What would you add to this list? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.